Hello, welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdist Dave, joined by my favorite co-conspirator in subclass scheming.
Nerdarchy Ted. Greetings, adventurers, character builders, and lovers of spooky subclasses.
Tonight we're cracking open the crypt that is the horror subclasses Unearthed Arcana. Wizards of the Coast has reanimated and revised 6 fan-favorite dark-themed subclasses from Bard to Warlock, and we're here to dissect them, compare them, and maybe scream a little about power balance.
Whether you're looking to terrify your table, min-max your shadow sorcerer, or just want to hear us geek out about spooky builds, you're in the right place.
So settle in, light a candle. Let's get unsettling with horror subclasses from Unearthed Arcana 2025.
All right, so we get 8 new subclasses for a variety of classes. Are we diving right in? How do you want to handle this?
Yeah, you know what? We got 2 new subclasses. We get 6 repeats. So yeah, let's jump in and talk about it. So let's kick it off with Unearthed Arcana 2025 horror subclasses Artificer Reanimator.
So reassemble corpses to raise the dead. Reanimators defy the laws of nature in pursuit of gruesome experiment. These grim artificers stitch together servants from desperate corpses, use foul magic to strengthen the living, and transform the art of necromancy into a terrifying science. So
No,
they get access to spells that are automatically prepared for them when they reach certain levels. At third, they're going to get False Life, Spare the Dying, and Witch Bolt. Fifth, they're going to get Blindness, Deafness, and Enhance Ability. Ninth is Animate Dead and Lightning Bolt. 13th is Blight and Death Ward. And then 17th, Anti-Life Shell and Raise Dead.
so they're playing with the forces of life and unlife a lot here. And it's kind of weird. You have a artificer getting animate dead, but I'm kind of digging it. I'm digging the flavor. So also at level 3, you get Jolt to Life. When you cast Spare the Dying, you can modify the spell so that it sends a jolt of electricity through the target, reviving it. The target regains 1 hit point, and each creature within 10-foot emanation originating from the target makes a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC, taking lightning damage equal to a d4 plus half your artificer level rounded up. On a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. You can modify this spell this way a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So basically, you can be a defibrillator.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting ability. Um, you can, damage the enemies that are around your fallen foe, possibly knocking them out. But emanation is a new terminology for 5e. Because I don't remember seeing that before the 2024 rule set. So I guess like you hit the target and they're safe from the damage, but everybody else takes it.
That is correct because the target also gains a hit point, right? So they
Right.
not only do the spare the dying do the sparing dying thing where it stabilizes you, but it brings you up to 1 hit point as well. So it is like the poor man's version of healing word, but it does some other things as well.
But it's a cantrip, so
Yes.
it's free. You can only do this, a number of times, but being able to not only, stabilize, heal, and do some damage with your cantrip, that's a pretty nice get, in my opinion.
Oh, sure. It also gives me vibes of not only like living defibrillator, but also Frankenstein a little bit as well.
Oh, completely. And like I fully believe that this particular subclass is based off of that, that mentality of, flesh golems and the like. You're literally, stitching the dead back together. So
I,
I think that's the only way that it works for Artificer, you know,
I
as
feel
opposed to
like
the
you could just
people
sum it
necromancer.
up to this is the Dr. Frankenstein subclass.
Yep, sure, that works for me. But we're not done yet. Third level, we also get Reanimated Companion. Using Tinker tools or another type of artisan's tools with which you have proficiency, you can take a magic action to create a reanimated companion. See the stat block. Through the power of necromancy and science, the companion manifests in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of you. You determine the companion's appearance. Your choices don't affect the companion's game statistics. The companion is friendly to you and your allies, and it obeys you. It lasts until you finish a long rest or until you take the magic action to dismiss it early, at which point it harmlessly collapses into a pile of viscera. It immediately drops to 0 hit points and dies, triggering its death burst trait. If you die, once you create a companion, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest or expend a spell slot to create one. You can only have one companion at a time, and you can't create one while your companion is present. In combat, the companion acts during your turn. It can move and take its reaction on its own, but the only action it can take is the dodge action unless you take a bonus action to command it to take an action. If you have the incapacitated condition, the companion acts on its own and isn't limited to the dodge action.
So, you have the stat block and, AC 10 plus intelligence modifier. A lot of stuff is based off of your intelligence modifier. It's got this, the 4 hit points plus 4 times your artificer level, which is pretty common for the companions.
Yep.
And its major stats are strength and con, and the rest, are average to subpar. It has resistances to necrotic and poison, immunities to lightning, charmed, exhaustion, poisoned, blind sight 60 feet, understands the language traits, death burst. The companion explodes when it dies. Dexterity saving throw DC equal to your spell save DC. Each creature in a 10-foot emanation originating from the companion failure is 2d6 necrotic damage. It also has a lightning absorption ability. When the companion is subjected to lightning damage, it regains a number of hit points equal to the lightning damage dealt. So when you have this thing in combat, you want to be using area effect lightning spells all the time to keep it up, because it doesn't have very many hit points.
You mean like your spare the dying modified to do lightning damage equal to your intelligence modifier?
I mean, that would work, but you also need an ally to fall unconscious
Sure.
to work. And you don't get that many hit points back, so.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, if this dude is already on the front lines and your frontline companion has gone down, you want to get that guy into place before you go ahead and spare the dying. Just to pump up your reanimated companion just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a wizard to cast lightning bolt through him, then that would work very well.
So at level 5, they're going to get strange modifications.
Well, before we get to that, it does get one action that you get to use as your bonus action, and this is
my apologies.
No worries. This is the big part of what you're going to do with this subclass, which I have mixed feelings about. Dreadful Swipe, melee attack roll, bonus equal to your spell attack modifier. It's reach 5 foot. It does a die 4 plus 2 plus your intelligence modifier. So when you first get it, you're probably looking at a die 4 plus 5. Necrotic damage, and target can't take opportunity attacks until the start of its next turn. So you get a debuff, which is kind of cool.
So, as I said, level 5 strange modifications. Whenever you create a reanimated companion, it gains one of the following options of your choice. You choose when you create the companion. Arcane Conduit. You can cast spells as though you were in the companion space, but you must use your own senses once per turn. When you cast an artificer spell from the evocation or necromancy schools and deal damage while your companion is within 120 feet, you can add your intelligence modifier to 1 damage of that roll. Or you can choose ferocity. When you command your companion to take the dreadful swipe action, the companion can use it twice.
So it's either a buffer for your Evo and Necro spells, plus also being able to originate spells from it, so it could extend your range out a bit on them, or just allow you to not have to be up and personal with them. So I don't know if that allows you to like do touch spells through it, like a familiar.
Yeah, I mean it basically originates from, you're the caster, but it originates from the source. So yes, you would be able to do touch spells through the companion. Yeah, and that you were kind of leaning in this direction, but it seems like everything about this subclass is all about your companion.
Everything but that jolt to life ability, essentially, so far. So next up, we get at 9th level, you get improved reanimation. You experiment and alter your companion further. Whenever you create a reanimate companion, it gains one of the following options of your choice. Choose when you create the companion. Bloat it. The companion becomes large or medium, your choice. Whenever it hits a large or smaller creature with its dreadful swipe action, the creature can also push up to 10 feet away from the companion. Additionally, can add your intelligence modifier to the damage dealt by the companion's death burst. It gets a little bit better. Gaunt. The companion's speed increases to 45 feet, and it gains a climb speed equal to its speed. It can climb difficult surfaces, including along ceilings, without needing to make an ability check. In addition, whenever the creature of your choice starts its turn within 10-foot emanation originating from your companion, the creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC or have the frightened condition until the start of its next turn. Moist. I know a lot of people are going to love this one, at least the name anyway. The companion gains a swim speed equal to its speed. In addition, whenever the companion is hit by an attack roll from a creature within 10 feet of it, the attacker takes acid damage equal to your intelligence modifier.
So, all in all, more options, more choice, and more buff in some way, shape, or form for your companion. It's not making you any better of an artificer. It's not making you, gain more things, but you've got your companion that's cooler.
That is true.
Level 15, Promethean Reanimation. You have mastered the science of revivification, granting you the following benefits. Facilitated revival. When you cast Revivify or Raise Dead, the cost of any material components needed for that spell is halved. That's an awesome ability. Improved Companion. The damage of your reanimated companion's death burst increases to 4d6. Necrotic damage dealt by your companion ignores resistance. And Life Transfer. You can siphon the animating magic of your companion to bolster yourself. When you take damage, you can take a reaction to cause your reanimated companion to drop to 0 hit points. The companion immediately dies. Yes, this triggers the death burst, and you regain a number of hit points equal to your artificer level, which at that point in time is a minimum of 15.
So, all right, as a 15th level capstone subclass ability, subpar. And here's why. First of all, facilitate a revival at 15th level. Generally, gold is not your problem. So,
Sure.
casting Revivify or Raise Dead and, having the cost is trivial. It's a ribbon ability at this point.
You're talking about 300 versus 500, I believe. So 150 to 250 gold being saved. So unless you're casting it a lot, it's not going to save you that much gold.
Right. And now at earlier levels, it might be handy. And it also requires someone to die. So that's problematic too. Improved Companion. This is okay, but really you're only getting an extra 2d6 on the damage. They have to. It's a save or suck, so they have to fail. Ignoring resistance isn't bad, and then Life Transfer. Be able to trigger your companion as a reaction to explode on people. It's okay. Again, you're not doing that much damage at 15th level. You could probably do better things. The only good thing is it's a reaction, and you're an artificer, so you might not have other. Well, no, artificers do have a lot of things to do with their reactions. Never mind, scratch that. And getting 15 hit points back is like a hit, maybe less than. Like, all in all, like combined, it's not bad. It's just at 15th level, it's a bit lackluster.
Sure.
As a 9th level ability, or the 5th level ability, it'd be awesome. So all in all, thoughts on the subclass. Thematic, love the idea and the concept. In play, to me, it looks like a poor man's Battlemaster.
Okay, I can definitely see the direction there. Conceptually, like I'm not asking you to, let's on the fly rewrite this. But what would you want to be able to do with this subclass?
I'm not really sure because so much of it is just based around the reanimated companion.
Uh-huh.
I guess maybe if you could make more of them, which again that becomes problematic because of action economy and how much like summoner classes tend to annoy everybody else at the table.
Correct.
So that becomes problematic. I mean, thematically, there's ways that they kind of get around that, where it tends to be more spell effects than actual like creatures per se.
Hmm.
That could possibly work. Having things that aren't just about the companion would probably make this better. Like the Battle Master can get multiple attacks around. It can use its intelligence to attack and damage when it uses magic weapons instead of the other stat you would normally use. And then Arcane Jolt tends to be a bit more versatile, and,
Hmm.
and and probably will come up more, and it's more effective too, right? Like, boom, add 2d6 or 4d6 of damage, or 2d6 or 4d6 of healing. None of this, make a save and it does nothing. So, and also like the damage is really weak for it too. A die for, you know, +2 plus your intelligence modifier. You're maxing out at 11. Give it 2 attacks around, 22 points of damage max. Now, that's all. I guess it's on top of whatever you're doing as an artificer, but you don't have any of the other cool stuff that other artificers get that are going to make you in particular more effective in combat. So, and then also artificer spells tend to be more utility and
Sure.
buffing and debuffing. So you're gonna be focusing on that stuff more. Um,
So given what this is, I would suggest number one, you're right in saying, let's make it less about the companion. So therefore you have to give something to the caster. Well, artificers are usually very intelligence based and what have you, and there is not a whole lot that goes on with medicine. But giving this subclass proficiency with medicine and then tossing on an expertise on top of it, I think would go a long way in making this character to me seem like, oh yeah, you really know the insides of a body. Um, which yeah, it still doesn't help the overarching, concept of fifth edition where there's not a whole lot of medicine checks that happen. But I guarantee you, if somebody rolled up at my table, I'm like, yeah, my guy's got expertise in medicine. I as a DM will feel compelled. I will find ways to make that character have to make medicine checks.
the most useful thing you could do with medicine checks in the game as it currently stands is moot because you have Jolt of Life. You have Spare the Dying, so it's like,
Sure, sure.
I can roll this
But
die or just boop.
yeah, like if you've got spare the dying, there is no need to stabilize. But there's got to be other things that can be done with medicine. Off the top of my head, I'm not trying to go down that road, but I'm certain there's things that can be done.
No, no, I
Uh,
agree. Like that would be a cool way to go and build it out. But folks, what do you think? What would you do? How would you improve this subclass? Or maybe you just love it the way it is. Let us know down in the comments below. All right, Unearthed Arcana horror subclasses 2025 Bard College of Spirits. All right, we're going to dig into this one, and this is a revision.
Call forth spirits from beyond the grave. Using occult trappings, bards of the College of the Spirits conjure legendary and long dead spirits to change the world once more. But such entities are capricious, and what a bard summons isn't always entirely under their control.
All right, so as usual for the rewrites, you get the design notes, and it kind of compares like what they're getting now compared to what they were getting before. We have seen one of these in play at our table, not the revised version, but the original version. And they're pretty effective. They're also a multi-class cleric, and it was thematic and fun. But let's see what we do with the new one. Third level, we start off with Channeler. You learn how to contact spirits beyond the grave, letting their power and knowledge flow through you. Gain the following benefits. Guiding Whispers. You know the guidance cantrip. It has a range of 60 feet when you cast it. Spiritual Focus. You employ tools that aid you in channeling spirits. You gain a gaming set, playing cards. You have proficiency with this gaming set, and you can use the cards or one of the following items as a spellcasting focus for your bard spells. arcane focus, crystal orb, candle, or ink pen. So this little suite of abilities is not bad. Getting guidance at range of 60 feet is pretty nice. Guidance gets used a lot in our games.
Guidance gets used a lot in many games, and I feel like there's a lot of tables that do it wrong, but I'm not gonna jump all over that bandwagon, but it is what it is. I like what's here, and I would absolutely require, or sorry, I would absolutely suggest that like if you're using guidance, with this particular thing, like this is something's whispering in your ear. Whoever's the subject of this spell, that's the way you're getting this little bonus. Somebody's nudging your hand or whispering you a little bit. So I'd want to role play up. What is it that you're calling on for this little spiritual guidance?
And I believe they added the playing card set, and that's to represent tarot cards.
Completely, completely. Level 3 spirits from beyond. While holding a spellcasting focus, you can take a bonus action to expend one use of your bardic inspiration and call forth the powers of a spirit. Roll the bardic inspiration die and refer to the spirits from beyond table to determine the spirit you channel. Then choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself as the spirit's target. The spirit immediately takes effect. If it's a spirit's effect requires a saving throw, the DC is your your bard spell save DC. And it's a D12 chart that is, kind of awesome because your bard die, kind of goes up as you play. So like the higher level abilities, you're not going to be able to get right off the bat, but they're there for when you can.
It's a fun way of scaling because as you move to the next die, you can clearly see that the abilities are getting slightly better.
Yep.
Until and again, but it's still a random roll, so you're going to get what you get. So even though you're rolling a d12, you may still roll a 1. So let's dig into them.
All right. So first off, on a 1 beloved, the target regains hit points equal to one of your bardic inspiration die plus your charisma modifier.
So a little healing buff, nice. Number 2, sharpshooter. The target takes force damage equal to 1 roll of your bardic inspiration die plus your charisma modifier. See a recurring theme.
Level number 3, Avenger. Until the end of your next turn, any creature that hits the target with a melee attack roll takes force damage equal to the roll of a bardic inspiration die.
Or renegade. The target can immediately take a reaction to teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space it can see.
Fortune teller. The target has advantage on D20 tests until the start of your next turn.
6, Wayfarer. The target gains temporary hit points equal to a roll of your bardic inspiration die plus your bard level. While it has these temporary hit points, the target's speed increases by 10 feet.
On a 7, Trickster. The target takes 7. Trickster. The target makes a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes psychic damage equal to 2 rolls of your bardic inspiration die and has the charmed condition until the start of your next turn. On a successful save, the target takes only half as much damage.
But apparently they're still charmed, so that's nice.
Indeed.
Or is it only take the on a
Oh, they only take the damage.
Yeah. I was like, that wouldn't make sense. I was just long day of work, guys. 8, Shade. The target gains the invisible condition until the end of its next turn, or until the target makes an attack roll, deals damage, or casts a spell. When the invisibility ends, each creature in a 5-foot emanation originating from the target must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or take necrotic damage equal to 2 rolls the bardic inspiration die.
On a 9, Arsonist. The target makes a dexterity saving throw, taking fire damage equal to 4 rolls of the bardic inspiration die on a failed save or half as much on a successful one.
I love how every time the die steps up, so does the damage.
Yep.
10, Coward. The target and each creature of your choice in a 30-foot emanation originating from the target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have the frightened condition until the start of your next turn. While frightened, the creature's speed is halved and it can take either an action or a bonus action, not both.
Awesome. 11 is Brute. Each creature of your choice in a 30-foot emanation originating from the target makes a strength saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes thunder damage equal to 3 3 rolls of your Bardic Inspiration die and has the prone condition. On a successful save, the creature takes only half as much damage.
That's pretty impressive, that 30-foot emanation.
Indeed.
12. Controlled channeling. You determine the spirit's effect by choosing one of the other rows in this table. So, well, let's pick whatever you like.
Yeah,
So,
and the thing that I like about this is, you know, there's a lot of choice there and a lot of effects that are going to happen. So it's like, all right, I roll the die and then I get to look around and pick who it is that's going to be the target of this. If you had to pick it first, that would be really nasty.
yeah, there's nothing that's really bad. I mean, like it could suck to get you get the heal one. I think that might be the only one, and no one's been injured yet, right? Like,
Right.
but everything else is pretty much aces, and that one's not bad. It's just like circumstantial, and so you might want to be like, this could come up, especially when you first get it. I got a 1 in 6 chance. Do I want to wait until someone gets hit first?
Indeed.
Level 6, Empowered Channeling. Your ability to channel spirits improves. You gain the following benefits. Power from Beyond. Once per turn, when you cast a bard spell that deals damage or restores hit points, roll a d6. You gain a bonus to one of the spell's damage rolls or to the total hit points the spell restores equal to the number rolled. Spiritual Manifestation. You always have the Spirit Guardian spell prepared. You can cast this spell once without a spell slot, and you regain the ability to cast it. In this way, when you finish a long rest, whenever you start casting the spell, you can modify it so the spirits also guard against worldly threats. When cast in this way, you and your allies within the spell's emanation have half cover. Once you modify the spell this way, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. That's a couple of nice, really nice abilities. Especially the Spiritual Manifestation, giving half cover is pretty baller, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, getting every one of your allies that are within that spell's area of effect +2 AC that stacks with everything else, that is really nice. And it's Spirit Guardians, which is, in my opinion, one of the great, spiritual spells. It's an awesome cleric spell. So giving it to the bard, who's obviously super into spirits, totally makes sense. And then to get a free casting that then can get better, that's great.
Yeah, it definitely is. This version, even the last version, but even more so, this version is giving me some more what's his name,
Mort Linquist.
more linguist vibes for sure from the Dresden Files. Level 4.
I'm kind of in the middle of re-listening to changes, so there's a lot of Morty there.
Level 14, Mystical Connection. You gain mastery over the spirits you can call forth whenever you roll the spirits from Beyond table. You roll the die twice and choose which of the 2 effects to bestow. Which is really nice because at this point, you always have the wild card of the 12 of just getting to pick any of the 11.
Oh.
And now you get 2 chances at 12, or you just get 2 chances of going, all right, 2 chances to choose from. So all in all, I mean, it was a good subclass before, and I feel like this makes it slightly better. I had no complaints with it before, but I like this version.
To me, this is your subclass capstone. I want something a little bit better than, roll twice and take the one you like. I would either want, it's a 12. You can always pick what you want, or you got to give me something else. Maybe I'm being greedy, but
well, I will take this over the Reanimator's capstone ability.
Sure.
I don't know, folks. What do you agree? Agree with me? You agree with Ted? Do you like this? Have you played it before the previous version? Are you going to play this version? Let us know down in the comments below. All right, let's move on. Unearthed Arcana 2025 horror subclasses. Cleric, Grave Domain.
Embody deific forces of death. The Grave Domain concerns itself with the boundary between life and death. To those who tap into this domain's power, death is a foundational, natural, and inevitable part of the multiverse. Such clerics seek to destroy undead and strive to shepherd spirits to the afterlife, whether those spirits want to go or not. The magic of this domain also allows these clerics to stave off death for a time, particularly for those who still have some great work to accomplish in the world. But this is merely a delay of death, not a denial of it. For the grave will always claim its due.
Yeah, we got our design notes, of course, as usual, because it's a revision. Level 3, we get Circle of Mortality. You gain the ability to manipulate the balance between life and death, granting you the following benefits. Pull of Death. Once per turn, when you cast a spell or hit with an attack roll and deal damage to a bloody creature, that creature takes an extra D4 necrotic damage. Return to life. When you would normally roll one or more dice to restore hit points to a creature at 0 hit points with a spell or channel divinity, don't roll the dice for the healing. Instead, use the highest numbers possible on each dice. For example, instead of restoring 2d4 hit points to a creature at 0 hit points, the spell you restore 8. Now, I'm like a broken record. Generally, I don't like things with, that require someone to go down as much. Now, because you're the cleric and you're doing the healing, and you're playing probably with 3 or more other players at the table, the chances of getting this ability is better. It also gets better. I can see in that example they used the right dice for healing word, and that being said, you will also get Pull of Death. So whenever a creature is bloodied, pulling in that 4th edition term, you just do extra damage. That is necrotic damage, which makes you more effective in combat in general if you're in there mixing it up. And the grave domains I've seen in the past do mix it up, but they might not be as eager to do it in the past because it's one of the changes made to this subclass.
So the term bloodied has been officially pulled into 5e with the 2024 rule set. Uh, yeah, it's fun, finally fun to see, what they're looking to do with 5e in regards to that. But all in all, I don't have a problem, with return to life. For a cleric, you're probably going to be healing people. It might not be super readily, but Pull of Death I feel is going to happen, quite enough. Sure, there's attack spells that are just saving throws, but I mean, heck, even Guiding Bolt is an attack roll. So doesn't say a melee, doesn't say, to someone within 5 feet. It's an attack roll, and you deal damage. Boom.
Yep. Well, it says when you cast a spell or hit with an attack roll. So that would apply to any spells.
Oh, okay.
So as long as they're
Oh,
bloodied.
yeah. So all right. So I mean, yeah, that one's definitely gonna come up. So all right, but we're not done. Level 3, they're also going to get their domain spells, which is a hefty bunch. At level 3, they get Bane, Chill Touch, Detect Evil and Good, Gentle Repose, Ray of Enfeeblement. Level 5, Revivify and Vampiric Touch. 7, Blight and Dispel Evil and Good. 9, Hold Monster and Raise Dead. And these just get automatically prepared for you every day.
Yeah, and it's definitely nice when you can just have Raise Dead and Revivify on your list and not have to like agonize whether you should take them or not.
Yep.
We're not done with 3rd level. To the Grave. As a bonus action, you present your holy symbol and expend a use of your channel divinity to curse one creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself until the start of your next turn. While cursed, the creature has disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. When you or an ally you can see hits the cursed target with an attack roll, you can end the curse early, no action required, to make the attack deal extra necrotic or radiant damage, your choice, equal to D8 plus your cleric level. Okay, this is the ability that I think people are going to rather have had the old one, and
Okay.
because the old one was use your channel divinity and the next attack that hits the creature, it's vulnerable to.
Right.
Which is
This is doing
significantly better, right? I mean, you're debuffing, and you get to do a little extra damage as well. So and also you can keep. You don't have to do the extra damage. You can wait until the start of your next turn, so that it can have that disadvantage to attack rolls on its turn, and disadvantage on saving throws if you have casters. They're going to be casting in between then.
right.
So it's not a bad ability, but compared to what it was before, probably I don't think it is as good.
Yeah, vulnerability is a really really good thing to be able to, offer up. And, if you've got a way to stack in, okay, well, I'm going to use my, oh, look, I'm going to give him, vulnerability to radiant damage, and the paladin's going to smite like crazy.
No, no,
Or,
no, no. You
oh,
you you misunderstand, Ted. You give them vulnerability to the next attack.
oh,
So they just take double damage. And also we've seen crit fisher builds using that
sure,
ability so
sure,
that you can triple the damage. So it becomes quite nasty. And then when you figure out other ways to add damage into it, it is
right.
especially brutal with inflict wound spells.
Hmm.
Um, Matter of fact, we did a whole build around that. So yeah, it's not a bad ability, just it pals a little bit compared to the other one.
Well, maybe that's why they did it. They're like, nope, this is too good.
Yeah, and they seem to kind of try and balance it out in other places.
Level 6 Sentinel at Death's Door. When you are a bloodied creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself is hit with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to half that attack's damage. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Now, this ability used to be just against crits, so now you can negate the crit. And now instead of negating a crit, you can make it do you can just half the damage. So basically, it's like uncanny dodge, but for everybody that you want to give it to.
That's it's nice, and being able to use it a number of times a day equal to your wisdom modifier is nice. And again, the fact that it can be shareable, really, really steps up the cleric's ability to, mitigate damage.
But we're not done. Level 17, Divine Reaper. Your deep connection to the domain renders you a hallowed harbinger of death, granting you the following benefits. Enhanced necromancy. When you cast a spell of level 5 or lower from your necromancy school that targets one creature or a spell from the Grave Domain spells table, you can expend a use of Channel Divinity to target a second creature within the spell's range. If the spell requires a costly or consume material components, you must provide material components for each target. For each target, I immediately thought of Vampiric Touch when I was reading this earlier.
Uh-huh.
Keeper of Souls. When an enemy dies within 60 feet of you, Keeper of Souls. When an enemy dies within 60 feet of you, you or one creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself regains hit points equal to 3 times your cleric level. You can't use this feature if you have the incapacitated condition. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until finish a short or long rest. So 17th level 3 times. That's a hefty amount of hit points.
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts?
So, I mean, I like it. Not many of our viewers are going to be able to, understand this reference, but like I really feel with what's here, this definitely fits. My uh my elf undead slayer from back in the day, who was part cleric, so this would definitely fit, that vibe of, wanting to hunt down undead and having the abilities to be able to do so.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it was a strong domain before, and other than that one little nerf, I still feel it's a very strong domain. Question, guys, is do you think it's a strong domain? Are you playing it in your games? Have you played it? Would you play it? Do you want to play it? Which version do you like better? Let us know down in the comments below. Continuing on, Unearthed Arcana 2025 horror subclasses. Let's take a look at Ranger, Hollow Warden. This one's a new one.
Draw on the might of ancient wild terrors. Legends tell the most ancient and fearsome terrors lurk deep within the old places of the earth. Unfathomable and bloodthirsty entities of fallow soil and sharpened claws. Hollow wardens venerate and draw power from such beings, transforming themselves into similarly merciless and monstrous guardians that stalk along jagged coastlines, across steep mountain crags, and through other dark and wild places. Level 3, you're automatically going to have these spells prepared for you. Level 3, Wrathful Smite, 5, Spike Growth, 9, Phantom Steed, 13, Hallucinatory Terrain, and 17, Awaken.
So that's not a bad selection. I mean, you get some really cool stuff, but you're also a ranger, so it takes you a long time to get your cool stuff. Uh,
Yep.
Level 3, Wrath of the Wild. You draw on strange and ancient horrors of the land of for power. When you cast Hunter's Mark, you transform, gaining the following benefits for the duration of the spell. Ancient Armor. You gain a bonus to your AC equal to your Wisdom modifier, minimum +1. Your body is wreathed in rotten bark or beastly bristles. Unnerving Aura. When an enemy starts its turn within 10-foot emanation originating from you, it makes a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. On a fail save, it can take either an action or bonus action on its turn, not both. Your shadows lengthen and twist around you, or your sprout unnatural growths like bloody antlers or putrid fangs. Um, this is a strong ability, especially because it's like based around a keystone ability of the ranger. Like it's always been a keystone ability in 5e, but when you went from 2014 to 2024, they finally just acknowledged it and went, okay, if you're a ranger, you use Hunter's Mark. That's what you do.
Yes.
It's part of being a ranger. So I kind of like things that build on it because it's something you're going to use. You're going to use often, and this is an instance of it getting used in pretty interesting ways and really buffing your ranger.
All right. Now I'm going to talk about two things with this ability. Number one, I absolutely love visual changes to characters. And being able to be like, look, I grow, spikes or antlers or fangs. I'm not granted any natural attacks with what's going on, but a physical transformation is just fun to do. So the fact that it's worked into this unnerving aura, absolutely amazing. Uh, and I would be willing to throw money on ancient armor is going to be modified, for whenever this comes into its final version, because to just be able to say for 3 levels of ranger, you can add, a bonus to your armor class equal to your wisdom modifier, not here's a formula for calculating your armor class. Be like, oh look, I can just, I can go ranger monk and now I get double my wisdom to my armor class.
Well, I can see that, but if they use a formula, it'll make it super lame and useless.
Uh-huh.
For the most part. So I'm curious, like you said, if they do modify it, how they're going to modify it. Also, it's like a 3-level dip, so I guess that depends on how many first level spells you get, like how much access to Hunter's Mark you get, to how often you're going to be doing it. So that's definitely one thing. Like the monk is definitely an area where I was like, oh yeah, that would be pretty cool to add that in because you're already heavy on wisdom. Other classes, I don't think the benefit would be as good. And also, there are certain classes like the barbarian where you just couldn't do it because
Yeah,
because of the concentration factor.
correct.
You know,
I am sorry.
for the ranger alone, this this subclass is stat heavy, right? Because
Uh-huh.
you're either looking at dex and strength, and then you're probably going to want con, of course, and then for this particular subclass so far, having a high wisdom is going to be very important. I almost would be like, oh, this would be, and also like if you look at it, especially that unnerving aura, which is a really amazing ability, that is a melee ability, right? You're not,
Yes.
it's not effective at range. So now you're looking at, well, if you go strength wisdom, well then ancient armor really just kind of makes up for your lack of dex.
Sure.
So I mean, I think there's a lot that goes into it. I think they've given it some thought, but we'll have to see what the final verdict is. I like it.
Yeah. I agree. And I'm throwing that out there that I noticed it and I'm looking into it. You mentioned barbarian and I 100% as I was reading through this, my brain before I remembered about concentration,
Mm.
I was thinking about this at work and I'm like, man, it would be so awesome to have a Path of the Beast Hollow Warden Ranger build if only you could have, your concentration while you raged. I was so ticked at myself when
Mm.
like I started loving this character building in my head, and then remembered, oh look, there's rules that say you can't do that.
Damn them and their rules.
All right, so moving on to level 7, Hungering Might. You gain a bonus to Constitution saving throws equal to your Wisdom modifier, minimum of 1. In addition, once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack roll while you're transformed using your Wrath of the Wild, you regain a number of hit points equal to 1 die 10 plus your Wisdom modifier, provided you are bloodied when you hit.
So getting the extra, so they're like, look, we know this is stat heavy. Just don't worry about your constitution. We're gonna make up for it with your wisdom, sort of.
Sort of. So, I mean, you're gonna get, a bump to your Constitution saves. Um, and then, you know, once you're bloodied, you get a little bit of healing going on. So, all in all, not too bad. Um, it's once a turn. If you're bloodied, you can just get a little bit of something back.
Yeah, well, and that's so, and you can keep doing it if you keep getting bloodied, as long as it's not on the
Yep.
same turn. Level 11, Rot and Violence. I do like the names. Your dedication to Eldritch Forest beings alters you further. When transformed using Wrath of the Wild, you gain the following additional benefits. Eerie Aura. Whenever a creature fails its saving throw against your unnerving aura, it also takes necrotic, poison, or psychic damage, your choice equal to your ranger level. This damage ignores resistance. So, that already cool ability makes it even better because it's basically slow, a minor version of slow, right?
Yep.
And then
Yep.
you get Strangling Roots. When you hit a creature with an attack roll using a weapon, you can activate the sap or slow mastery property in addition to a different mastery property you're using with that weapon. That's cool, and that's one of the things I've been waiting for, to see them use the weapon masteries in other ways, not just the weapon itself.
Right. So, all in all, I think that's a strong level, and strong names. Eerie Aura, Strangling Roots, Rotten Violence.
Also, I guess another thing to kind of point out too is um, Hunter's Mark. Eventually, you can cast it and have it last like 8 hours.
Correct.
With the higher slot, and at a certain point, it's kind of worth it. To, one, to not have to keep recasting it, and also to have all these effects on you at the same, ongoing until that time elapses, and basically until you take a long rest, probably.
So last, is our capstone for the subclass level 15, Ancient Endurance. You become wholly suffused with the forest's ancient power, granting you the following benefits. Persistent Hunt. If you drop to 0 hit points while transformed using Wrath of the Wild and don't die outright, you can expend a level 4 plus spell slot, no action required. Your hit points then instead change to an amount equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended. And then Timeless. You have immunity to the exhaustion condition.
Quite useful. I mean, exhaustion doesn't have the bite it used to, but it is still a thing that you have to worry about from time to time.
It,
So
it it's still a big deal, and it's like, okay, you're immune, so therefore all those things that, could be like, oh, well, here's negatives that you're applying to every D20 test. You're like, nope, I don't care about that.
no, thank you, sir. So all in all, I think this is thematic. It's great. The only problem with this Ranger subclass is a Ranger subclass, and for everything that they fixed in the other classes when they went to 2024, just Ranger. Now they did make Ranger better than 2014, but when you escalate all the other classes as well, it kind of stays where it was. So it's like it needed to escalate like the other classes plus a little bit more, and it just didn't get there.
So, like, all right, everybody's making $18 an hour. The Rangers making 15, and then we gave everybody a $2 raise.
Yes, that's essentially it. But I do like the subclass for theme, and its abilities are strong. And that being said, as for much as people crap on the Ranger, I've played a ton of Rangers. I've seen a ton played in the game. People still have fun with them, and never felt like they didn't contribute to the game and the party. Even if you're playing the crappiest one of all, which is probably the Beastmaster, and also one of my favorites. I've played like three different ones
Mhm.
just because I just like the companion effect and the role playing with the companion and having it in the game. I don't know.
So
Sometimes it's more about the role playing and the fun you have at the table than the
yeah,
effectiveness of your
you don't
character.
have to have a mechanically superior character or class to have fun, doing RPGs. I've played characters that are absolutely subpar and had a blast, and I've played characters that are specced out to the nines, and it hasn't been as much fun. So it's about the game, it's about the table, it's about the connection between the people and the story that's being told by everybody. So.
So, folks, what do you think? What do you think of the subclass? And are you playing Rangers in 2024? Have you completely given up on the Ranger? Let us know down below in the comments. With that, let's move on. 2025 Unearthed Arcana horror subclasses. We got the Rogue Phantom in the house once again.
Embrace death and wield ghostly power. Embrace death and wield ghostly power. Some rogues walk along the veil between life and death, shepherding opponents to the grave and slipping through the world as undetectable as a spirit. In these pursuits, a rogue might discover a mystical connection to death itself. Such an individual becomes immersed in negative energy, infusing their strikes with deathly energy and stealing knowledge from the souls who have passed on. Thieves Guild value rogues of this persuasion as highly effective information gatherers and spies.
Oh, if you guys want to check out the design notes, you can take a look at them over on the Unearthed Arcana on D&D Beyond. But with that, we get level 3 Wows from the Grave. Immediately after you deal your sneak attack damage to a creature on your turn, and target a second creature that you can see within 30 feet of the first. Roll half the number of sneak attack dice for your roll, round up. And the second creature takes necrotic damage equal to the roll's total, as well as from of the dead momentarily sounds around them. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your dexterity modifier, a minimum of once, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Before it wasn't, I'm playing one of these right now. Before it wasn't half your sneak attack damage roll rounded up. It was just a set, it's just a set amount. And then also the number of uses was not linked to your dexterity modifier.
It was
Uh,
proficiency, right?
it might be proficiency or just a set number, but now it's your dex modifier. So for the most part, you're going to get to use it more often. I think my character can use it 3 times a day now.
Okay. Level 3, we're also going to get Whispers of the Dead. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you can choose one skill or tool proficiency you lack and gain it. As a ghostly presence shares its knowledge with you, you lose this proficiency when you use the benefit again to choose a different proficiency. So I adore abilities like this. Not only is it something where it's like, oh look, we need this knowledge in order to pass whatever's going on here. Oh, let me take a quick squat and I'll deal with this in an hour. Like that's just awesome.
Yeah, I must say I actually like that ability very much. I used it. I've used it. Now we're getting to the areas where I haven't because I have not seen level 9 yet. And I think this is one of the areas that they've also kind of fixed. Uh, Level 9 Tokens of the Departed. The spirit of the dead are drawn to you, and echoes of their past lives magically manifest as strange curios with resonant power. Whenever you finish a long rest, you gain 2 soul trinkets. Each soul trinket is a tiny object. The DM determines the trinket's form or has you roll on the trinkets table in the player's handbook to generate it. These trinkets last until you finish another long rest, at which point they disintegrate. If you ever move if you ever move more than 30 feet from a trinket, the trinket immediately teleports to you, appearing somewhere on your person. The number of soul trinkets you gain when you finish a long rest increases when you reach a rogue's level 13, 3 trinkets, and 17, 4 trinkets. Using soul trinkets, you can use the soul trinkets in the following ways. Death's Knell. When you deal sneak attack damage on your turn, you can expend your 1 soul trinket and immediately use Wows from the Grave without expending a use from the feature. The expended trinket is destroyed. life essence while you have at least one soul trinket. You have advantage on death saving throws and constitution saving throws. Spirit query, you can take a magic action to expend one soul trinket and immediately cast an augury spell requiring no spell components. Using dexterity as your spellcasting modifier, the expended trinket is destroyed. Regaining soul trinkets. When a creature you see within 30 feet of you dies, you can take a reaction to regain one expended soul trinket.
All right. So first and foremost, I love all of this. You've got a lot of versatility here. But I think the most important aspect of what I'm seeing here is I think this is the first time we're actually seeing dexterity being used as a spellcasting modifier.
Yeah, I was trying not to laugh as I read it because
Uh,
it is a little weird.
it is absolutely weird. I would think, um, especially when there's no DC that you really have to worry about with a spell like augury.
Yeah.
Why would you not link it to intelligence or wisdom? I think wisdom would make the most sense for this situation because it's linked to death, and for augury, a divination type situation. But they went with dexterity, and I find that utterly bizarre, and I have no problems with it. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, this is not done this way. I don't care. But I like seeing this kind of stuff of like, all right, are they trying to get a reaction out of people, or like was this like a slip up? Like was this someone like, oh, it's a rogue, so rogue DCs are always based off of dexterity, and
I,
I feel
I
like
I think that's more of it than anything is, they just wanted to, like, they just want to give the best, let them use the best stat. Uh and I really don't feel like the rogue needs a lot of help when it comes to that stuff, right? Because the rogue is just the base class of rogue is super strong to begin with. Like, if anything, like maybe you should have give some help to the ranger or something.
I honestly feel, from a base class perspective, Rogue is the most powerful class in the game.
Yeah. So
I tangent for a moment. I was debating this mentally, and initially I was thinking, okay, Rogue and Paladin, have been vying for the top, but Paladin's deal has a lot of resources that it can expend, spell slots, and lay on hands, where like the rogue does the rogue at a base class. There's no
yeah.
resource expended.
Oh, I'm completely wrong about the Whales of the Grave.
Okay.
It has always been roll half your sneak attack damage
Okay.
dice. I'm just used to seeing it on D&D Beyond. It just tells me how many dice to roll.
Well, there's sometimes
Mm.
that, having you know, the playing the class the same way, for how many, sessions? We've been
Yeah,
the same level a long time.
so
All
that's
right,
true.
so moving on, level 9, Voice of Death. You can cast Speak with Dead once without a spell slot, requiring no spell components, and using Dexterity as a spellcasting modifier. You regain the ability to cast it this way when you finish a short or long rest.
Speak with Dead doesn't have a save, does it? Right? It's just you cast it.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't know. Maybe there's something that's going to come up. Maybe the new spells do. Like we don't have the new stuff memorized, to be honest with you.
right.
Uh, Level 13 Ghost Walk. As a bonus action, you assume a special form, gaining the benefits below for 10 minutes or until you end them. No action required. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend it or destroy one of your soul trinkets from the tokens of the departed. No action required to restore your use of it. Flight, you gain a flight speed of 10 feet. You can hover. Hazy form, attack rolls have disadvantage against you. And corporal movement, you can move through unoccupied spaces as if they were difficult terrain. If you end your turn in such a space, you take die 10 force damage. I mean, of course, you have ability to look like Ghost Walk. The name of the subclass is Phantom.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense, and it's really powerful and useful for this particular class or subclass. And finishing off, level 17, Death's Friend. Your association with death has become Your association with death has become so close that you gain the following benefits. Death's Lament. When you use your Wails from the Grave feature, you can deal the necrotic damage to both the first and the second creature. Drawl of Death. When you roll initiative, you regain one soul trinket from your tokens of the departed if you have none remaining.
I mean, they're decent abilities. Whales from the grave. You're basically doubling the damage you're doing with it, and it's also an ability that you can use over and over, or not over and over again, but quite a few times. Um, and then on top of that, draw of death. Having a trinket every time you roll initiative, so replenish is going to be good. All in all, it's a decent ability. I might like quibble a little bit as a capstone for a subclass, but it's the rogue. They're fine. They got enough going on.
All in all, it's gonna increase the amount of damage that you're doing.
Yes,
So it fits what the rogue is.
it does, and give you some utility too with your draw of death, but having the tokens. I mean, having advantage on death saves and con saves all the time is nothing to sneeze at either, especially
No.
as the rogue, because you already got Dex locked down. Now adding a bonus to con as well, it's super helpful. But let us know what you think, you guys. Are you playing a Phantom Rogue? What do you think of them? Do you want to play this? Give us some fun, spooky stories from your table down in the comments below. All right, moving on. 2025 Unearthed Arcana horror subclasses. We got the Sorcerer, Shadow, Sorcery.
Bend darkness and doom to your will. Your innate magic comes from the Shadowfell itself. You might trace your lineage to an entity that place, or perhaps you were exposed to the Shadowfell's sinister energy and were transformed by it. Your shadowy magic allows you to command darkness, undeath, and woe with ease.
All right, you jump over to D&D Beyond and take a look at Unearthed Arcana yourself. If you want to see the design notes, level 3, you get Eyes of the Dark. You have Dark Vision with a range of 120 feet and Blind Sight with a range of 10 feet. In addition, if a spell you cast creates an area of darkness, you can see normally through the spell's darkness. So a couple caveats. One, it has to be a spell that
You cast.
So it's not like the Warlock, right, where they just see with Devil's Sight.
Yep.
But you do have Blind Sight, range of 10 feet, which I believe that's new.
That is new, yeah.
And that's pretty powerful in and of itself.
Yeah, it used to be you could see in magical darkness. And if you have dark vision, or you gain dark vision out to 60 feet, and if you already have it, you gain additional 30 or 60 feet. Now it's just be like, all right, we're just gonna give it to 120. End of story. So
everybody gets a trophy.
I have one of these that I was playing a while back. It's been quite some time since I've busted out the Shadow Sorcerer. So I don't have all of these things completely memorized, and we obviously didn't get to the higher level stuff, but I definitely remember the Eyes of the Dark.
But there's more at 3rd level. Shadow spells. So you're going to get to add at 3rd level Bane, Darkness, Inflict Wounds, Pass Without Trace. 5th level Hunger of Hadar, Summon Undead. 7 Greater Invisibility, Phantasmal Killer. 9 Contagion and Creation. There are good spells, and you're also getting a handful of spells that are not even on the Sorcerer's list. And they're good ones too, like Inflict Wounds and Pass Without Trace. Bane can be sweet as well.
I'm fairly certain that the Shadow Sorcerer did not have shadow spells previously. Yeah. Looking back to the other one, they didn't have the spells that are automatically added. So getting access to new spells, is really good, because sorcerers don't get a whole lot of options. So.
Well, yeah, I think that is one of the fixes they made going forward is, all the sorcerer subclasses now pretty much give them prepared spells. And it's always been a weakness of the sorcerer not having as many. Matter of fact, when we were first going through 5th edition, I remember like joking and breaking balls about the fact that the bard had access to more spells known than the sorcerer.
So, I think we might have to look through our own Nerdarchy created subclasses and, make some addendums.
All right, level 6, Spirit of Ill Omen. Cast Summon Undead without material components. You can also cast it once without a spell slot. You gain the ability to cast it in this way when you finish a long rest. Whenever you start casting the spell, you can modify it so it doesn't require concentration. If you do so, the spell's duration becomes 1 minute for the casting. The spell ends early if you cast it again. This is definitely different because before you just like summoned a creature with a
You
stat
saw
block.
it was the Hound of Ill Omen that you summoned, and it was a class feature that called forth essentially a little companion that only stayed for so long. Um, now it's like, oh nope, you're gonna conjure an undead, but you get to choose what it is, what it looks like. So it's got a little bit more versatility. Um, but it's definitely an undead thing as opposed to, like mine, I conjured a dog made out of shadow. There wasn't so much, I don't know. It was definitely different vibes than what I was than what it currently is going for. But
Well, so the Summon Undead is a spell, and there's, I believe, um, I think they've reworked a lot of the summon spells so that you don't actually really summon anything. They're more like effects,
mhm,
redressed to be like, oh, you have undead, but really it's just like a damage effect or something.
mhm.
Level 14.
Shadow Walk. While you're in dim light or darkness, you can take a bonus action to teleport up to 120 feet to an unoccupied space you can see that is also in dim light or darkness.
So, you get the shadow teleport, which is super, super useful. Um, and can give the sorcerer a bit more mobility on the battlefield. Nothing to sneeze at that right there. Level 18, our capstone ability comes in with Umbral Form. As a bonus action, you adopt a shadowy form, gaining the benefits below for 1 minute until you have the incapacitated condition or until you end the form. No action required. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Unless you spend 6 sorcery points, no action required to restore your use of it. Corporal movement. You can move through occupied spaces if they were difficult terrain. If you end your turn, such a space, you take die 10 force damage. Shatter Resilience. You have resistance to all damage except force and radiant. Strength of the Grave. If you would drop to 0 hit points and not die outright, you can make a charisma saving throw. DC 5 plus half the damage taken. If you succeed, your hit points instead change to a number equal to 3 times your sorcerer level. Yeah, so basically, Undead Fortitude.
Yeah, I don't know why they like to have these things be different multipliers. It's like, oh, you get 5 times your level, and you get 4 times your level, and you get 3 times your level.
Yeah.
Like, are they throwing darts at dartboard here? Like,
They might be. They might be. I mean, it's still thematic. It's still decent. Um, you know, you had a lot of fun playing the Shadow Sorcerer. I
oh yeah,
I definitely would play a Shadow Sorcerer. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But let's
yeah.
know.
Part of it has to do with the mechanics. Part of it has to do with the group in the game. Um, but my Shadow Sorcerer is one of my favorite all time characters that I've played. And if you want to, check out that gameplay, we've got 2 seasons of those bastards here on the channel. So go check it out.
You can definitely do that. Let us know what you think down in the comments below about the rework or the original. With that, let's move along. We got a Warlock. So, Unearthed Arcana 2025, horror subclasses, Warlock Hexblade Patron.
You've made a pact with a sentient magic weapon and the cursed forces contained within its blade. Such a weapon could be a sword sheathed at a warlock's side, or it could be an infinite magic weapon stored elsewhere, projecting its power across the multiverse to further its cunning plans. To those who are willing to follow this weapon's whims, these inscrutable patrons are often the power to bestow malignant curses, delivering punishing blows, and bolster the wielder.
check out the design notes over in the PDF over on D&D Beyond. If you like, you get level 3 Hexblade spells. And this is actually really good because now you just get them added as prepared spells instead of them just having them on your list, which always felt like a slap in the face for the Warlock anytime you could get access to another spell, but it was on your list to choose, and it's like, I only get like 2 spells anyway. Why can't I just have the versatility? But you're going to get at 3rd level Arcane Vigor, Hex, Magic Weapon, Shield, Wrathful Smite. 5, Conjure Barrage, Dispel Magic. 7th, Freedom of Movement, Staggering Smite. And 9th, Animate Objects and Steel Wind Strike. I love me some Steel Wind Strike.
Steel Wind Strike is absolutely incredible, and I have seen this move combined with one other spell to be probably the most devastating situation. Somebody cast a high level hold person on 5 targets, followed by Steel Wind Strike, because hold person paralyzes,
Yes.
which turns Steel Wind Strike into a crit.
12 die 10.
That was utterly devastating. The amount of dice damage dropped, it was oh my god, it was glorious. But anyway, level 3, we're also getting Hexblade's Manifest. Your patron grants you the power to summon cursed echoes of its blade to hinder your foes. You gain the following benefits. Hexblade's Cursed. You can cast Hex without expending a spell slot a number of times equal to your Charisma modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. When you cast Hex, a spectral weapon resembling your patron orbits the cursed target. Hexblade's Maneuvers. Once per turn, when you hit a target cursed by your Hex with an attack roll, you can cause one of these additional effects. Draining Slash. The target makes a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the target can't make opportunity attacks, and its speed is halved until the start of your next turn. Harrowing Blade. The target makes a Wisdom save against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the next time the target makes an attack roll against a creature other than you before the start of your next turn, the target takes necrotic damage equal to your Charisma modifier. Or Stymieing Mark. The target has disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes before the start of your next turn.
So I feel like the old ability was a little bit better, but the new ability has more action economy to it. Where before, like, you could hex them, and then you could hexblade curse them, and it was 2 different things. Now they're just kind of rolling all together. So
Right.
it might be a slight nerfing, but you're going to get to take advantage of it more and longer and combine it with Hex. So it probably washes out. And also, I like the fact that you get some interesting choices that you can do.
Some versatility.
Yes. So that's always cool. Level 6, we get Lifesteal. Your patron's might allows you to drain vitality from those you curse, granting the following benefits. Hungering Hex. Whenever the target cursed by your Hex drops to 0 hit points, you regain hit points equal to a die 8 plus your Charisma modifier. Inevitable Blade. Once per turn, if you make an attack roll against the target cursed by your Hex and miss, you can deal necrotic damage to the creature equal to your Charisma modifier. Minimum of 1 necrotic damage. So, you're getting heals, and you get to spam damage even if you fail to hit.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Level 10, we're going to get Armor of Hexes. When you take damage from the cursed target of your Hex, you can take a reaction to reduce the damage taken by an amount equal to 2d8 plus your Charisma modifier. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your Charisma modifier, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Now, before with this one, I believe you would roll a d6 and subtract that from the attack, possibly causing them to miss. Here, it's just like, basically use your reaction, and then you can you mitigate damage.
Yeah, it's not a it might miss. It's just a I got hit, I'm going to take less damage, possibly absorbing all of it if if they rolled low enough.
Yes. So, I guess the idea is making it more consistently useful. Like, it works every time you use it now. Level 14, Masterful Hex. The patron's A cursed might flows even more strongly through you, granting you the following benefits. Cursed critical. Any attack roll you make against the target cursed by your hex scores, critical hit on a roll of a 19 or a 20 on the d20. Infectious Hex. When you use one of your Hexblade maneuvers, you can target one additional creature within 30 feet of the cursed target. The additional target takes die 6 necrotic damage. Resilient Hex. Taking damage can't break your concentration on Hex. So a couple things. One, I think the Cursed Critical was part of your Hexblade curse before, so it feels like some of the things that you were getting before, they're just rolling back in later and in different ways, or just totally changing them out. Also, like, you got more proficiencies with weapons and armors before too, and I'm not seeing any of that. So yeah, that's going to affect you as well. Now, some of that stuff might have been rolled into new invocations and stuff. Not 100% sure on that, but that's definitely one of the things that I noticed. Like, I believe you got medium armor and shield before, which you do not.
Yeah, and you could turn something into your your Hexblade, and whatever was your Hexblade, you were automatically proficient with.
Yes. Now it's kind of pushing you towards the idea that you're going to take Pact of the Blade with it as well. But then again, like, all your stuff would work with Eldritch Blast.
Sure.
Because basically, I think it's all based on like when you attack, when you make an attack roll, when you hit. So like, you don't even need to use the weapon per se.
That is true.
So I feel like maybe there's some people that are going to be unhappy with these changes, and other people that love like Eldritch Blast maybe are going to like it even more. Be like, I'm just going to Eldritch Blast everything, because why beat it with a stick when I have Eldritch Blast?
There's that.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments below. Are you guys happy with these changes? Do you prefer the old Hexblade? What are you going to use at your table? All right, moving on. Unearthed Arcana 2025 horror subclasses. We've got the Warlock Patron, or we've got Warlock Undead Patron.
Defy death for profane power. You made a pact with a creature that defies the cycle of life and death. A powerful lich, vampire, or other entity of undeath. Having once been mortal themselves, these ancient patrons know firsthand the paths of ambition and the routes past the doors of death. They eagerly share this profane knowledge along with other secrets with those who work their will among the living.
So, has the Undead Warlock been reprinted several times?
I believe so.
Like, I feel like this is an upgrade from the upgrade. Because I think I don't know where it appeared originally, but then it appeared in Van Richten's, and it got slightly better. And now we got it here again. Again, when I see the design notes, just go over to D&D Beyond, check out the PDF. It's free. Level 3, form of dread. As a bonus action, transform into an avatar of your patrons. Dreadful power, gaining the benefits below for 1 minute until you have incapacitated condition, or you end the form. No action required. You can transform a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, minimum of once. Gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Facsimile of life. You gain temporary hit points equal to a die 10 plus your warlock level. Frightful avatar. You have immunity to the frightened condition. Additionally, once per turn you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can force it to make a wisdom saving throw against your save DC. On a fail save, the target has the frightened condition until the end of your next turn.
So, we got horror subclasses, so it's not a big surprise that some of them are going to, cause the frightened condition, here and there. So, all in all, kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for what it is.
They're also going to get undead spells, same format as always. 3rd level, blindness, deafness, false life, phantasmal force, ray of sickness. 5th level, speak with dead, vampiric touch. 7th level, death ward, phantasmal killer. 9th, anti-life shell, and cloud kill.
Yeah, so there's some nice spells. I mean, unfortunately, you're a warlock and you don't have that many spell slots, but when you do cast those spells, they get maxed
But they're
out.
automatically prepared. It just gives you more choices.
Yeah, after you cast Hex and you have that other spell slot, you can choose one of these or something you've prepared.
Hey, by the time you get to Cloud Kill, you probably have at least three.
You know, it's true. Level 6, Grave Touch. Your patron's powers have a profound effect on your body and magic, granting you the following benefits: Arcane Necrosis. Whenever you cast a spell or hit a creature with an attack roll and deal necrotic damage, the damage dealt ignores resistance to necrotic damage. Additionally, once per turn, you can cast a spell that deals damage while using your form of dread. You can change that spell's damage type to necrotic. So if you want to cast that fireball of necrotic damage, you can.
Necroball.
Necroballs for everyone. Undead Endurance. You don't gain exhaustion levels from dehydration, malnutrition, or suffocation. In addition, you don't need to sleep, and magic can't put you to sleep.
Not bad.
Yeah, definitely going to be decent. Another way to get to your coffee lock, perhaps.
Yep. Level 10, Necrotic Husk. Your connection to undeath now saturates your body. You gain the following benefits: necrotic resistance. You have resistance to necrotic damage. While using your form of dread, you have immunity to necrotic damage. Unholy resuscitation. If you drop to 0 hit points and don't die outright, you can cause your body to erupt with deathly energy. Each creature of your choice in a 30-foot emanation originating from you makes a con save against your spell save DC, taking necrotic damage equal to 2d10 plus your warlock level. On a failure or half as much on a success, your hit points then change to 10 times your charisma modifier, minimum of 10, and you gain 1 level of exhaustion. Once you use this benefit, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest.
Why the exhaustion? Like,
Because you can't get it elsewhere. I don't know.
I guess that just seems kind of weird and petty to me.
I agree.
For what the ability is, they're like, yeah, but we're gonna make you rest even though you don't sleep. Take that, Undead Warlock Patron. Level 14, Superior Dread. Your form of dread improves, granting you the following benefits while you're using it. Flight. You have a fly speed equal to your speed and can hover. Profane casting. Whenever you cast a warlock spell from the conjuration or necromancy school, you can cast it without any verbal, somatic, or material components, except material components that are consumed by the spell or have a cost specified in the spell. Vitality Siphon. Once per turn, when you deal necrotic damage to a creature, you regain hit points equal to your charisma modifier, minimum of 1. So you're going to get some healing from round to round. You can fly. And no verbal or somatic or material components when you cast conjuration and necromancy. You just think those spells.
Yep, you just quiver your brain a little bit, and they just happen.
So like the funny thing, like thematically, it's kind of cool, but mechanically, it doesn't really do very much. At best, you could be like, well, you can't counter this spell, except for there's nothing in counterspell that says like the reaction is someone casting a spell, so it doesn't actually remove the trigger. So I mean, a DM might rule that like, well, how would you know they're casting a spell to counter it? Because they just think it into existence, essentially. But without DM fiat, it's just a ribbon ability that doesn't really do much, and it's also your capstone ability.
Right.
The other the other things aren't bad, but at 14th level, meh.
I would agree. It's definitely something that your former dread also now giving you flight, pretty cool. Um, dealing necrotic damage and being able to regain hit points, nice. Um, but the profane casting doesn't really add a whole lot unless you're playing with that particular buy-in of the spell is already going. There's nothing to counter because you didn't get it while it was being done.
Yeah.
And by raw, the new counter spell sucks anyway.
Yeah. Well, who's using that anyway?
I'm certain there's a lot of tables that are playing, strictly rules as written.
That's true. And there's always new players that don't know any better too. But and that being said too, like I also feel like you're going to be converting a lot of your spells to necrotic damage
Hmm.
um, in order to take full advantage of the subclass abilities.
Yep.
So you know what? There's this is not a third version. There was also the Undying, which is very similar to the Undead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like the Undead, it was a kind of like trying to like redo it and fix it, and this is like even a slightly bumpier than that. So it's all right. I mean, it's not a warlock that I'm probably going to play anytime soon. Just doesn't call to me per se. Your thoughts?
So I mean, the warlock for the most part hasn't called to me. I've played a couple of them, but there's just thematically, it's cool. I like it. But the base class is just not pulling me. A lot of people love the warlock, and I'm not gonna sit there and say, oh, you're wrong, because your opinions are your opinions. But there's lots of other subclasses that I'm more interested in than being linked to warlock.
Yeah, like that fork to the warlock is a bit of a hard turn to begin with for me, and then like you know this particular subclass even harder of a turn,
Mm,
in the fork of the road. But I think like when Warlock was new and shiny, like that's when we kind of both probably played more Warlocks. And
sure.
then you're like, all right, we've done Warlock. Let me play a fighter.
Yep.
So, but it's not bad. All in all, there is your Undead Warlock Patron. You guys playing it, like it, love it, hate it. Let us know. What do you think it needs? Tell us down in the comments below. So this is a bit of a long one. Normally we'd take some questions at this point, but it's been a long day. So with that,
All right. So thanks for joining us in the crypt tonight. Whether you've now whether you're now haunted by balance questions or inspired to write a whole new campaign arc, these horror subclasses definitely bring the flavor.
like what you small, like what you like what you saw, smash the like button. Like a Warlock pack going wrong, and subscribe. You don't miss us next time. Ugh, I can't talk tonight, folks. I'm sorry. Did I mention it's been a long day? Like what you saw, smash the like button. Like a Warlock pack gone wrong, and subscribe so you don't miss the next time Wizard drops fresh souls. I mean subclasses for us to discuss. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.